Hello there, Steve here in Sydney of the Lynosis website truebluehealer.com, where in just 20 minutes you can get physical evidence your divine spark has been activated, and following that you'll get some vivid messaging dreams, ultimately an internal mentoring voice, and a magic sleigh ride through a magic forest, literally that. And that will also enable you to fight your way through mis and disinformation that literally surrounds you like a snowstorm. Okay? I'll first talk here about Jordan Peterson, who's currently in Australia making television appearances, controlled media appearances. He's on radio station, talkback shows, that sort of thing. And he shows visible signs of hard work, fatigue. He's got a perpetually hoarse voice because he's doing a lot more talking than the average politician. Credit to him, and he does it very well. In one interview, I found him confessing to being deeply afraid of making a mistake, because he knows that on such a stratospheric flight that he's taking through alternative media, it won't take much to bring him down to earth and dash his career to pieces. And he was given a taste of that, how close he came to disappearing, when a question was put to him by a Jewish member of the audience at a town hall meeting. And the question was put to him, you know, you're such a student of all things Russian, you're always quoting Dostoevsky and Solzhenitsyn. Why haven't you read Solzhenitsyn's other book, which is about the slaughter of 66 million Russian Christians by a small ethnic group? And he was unable to answer that, so all he could do was sort of slink off stage, because his book publishing career would be over. So would many of his contracts be cancelled, that sort of thing. I would imagine he's got contracts with people of great influence in the media. So in this one interview, he confessed visible fear, almost visible fear, of putting a foot wrong and stepping into a trap question. And he gave as an example an old photograph from years ago, which is supposedly a gotcha thing, and it was suddenly pulled from under the desk and shown to him, and what he's supposed to do is confess to being racist or a Nazi or something like that. Everything shown to him is to make him confess to something evil, you see, because that's how Marxism works, that's how globalists work. Everyone has to be found guilty of some crime, even if it's in the middle of a TV interview, for goodness sake. Where's the idea of innocent till proven guilty? I don't know, it's gone, hasn't it, a long time ago. I would give some advice to Jordan Peterson right now. Be able to sell your books electronically in downloaded form, because you probably will lose the publishing contract by our favourite ethnic group. And be able to take Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum in exchange for an electronic download of any books you're going to do in the future. I hope he's already doing that, because I'd say he is going to fall from grace with the fake stream media, because he's actually putting out a fake narrative, and more people are coming to realise this, and the only thing that prevents it spreading a lot faster is that it was pulled off YouTube straight away, and none of the replacements for YouTube are really up to steam yet. They just haven't got enough oomph to be able to take videos of any length and have a big enough audience. So all the replacements for YouTube have serious defects, and we still need something better. I'm going to be asking a few people about where the future lies, but it doesn't seem to be on YouTube unless it's regulated properly and there's an Internet Bill of Rights that stops all these political closure of accounts. The second item is a couple of people who were just going to do practice free speech at the Speaker's Corner in London, which as far as I know has been going for hundreds of years, at least since the 19th century, where you can stand on a soapbox, talk about anything and see if you can win the audience over. It's really like an oratory contest, you see. And two people who intended to go there have been, they're in detention, separate prisons. And they haven't even done anything. They were arrested at the airport, for goodness sake. And this is a very serious development, and it's once again a very stark development of the future of England and Europe generally, how it is very, very dark. Can I just tell you something about free speech? In case you don't know, Karl Marx is buried in, of all places, England. And because he was exiled from Germany, because he's forever inspiring revolutionaries to overthrow the government of the day in numerous countries. So he got exiled out of Europe, finished up in England, retired there, and the aristocracy, the people in charge, you know, the Home Office and all that, they were challenged, you know, why are you bringing in revolutionaries like this? And the aristocrats sort of stood, the elites stood on their British Empire hubris, saying, oh, we believe, you know, the British Empire is a bastion of free speech. And even if he is discussing regicide with bomb makers and all that sort of thing, he's still allowed to talk about it because we believe in free speech here in the UK. To which I can only say that Karl Marx must now be laughing from his grave at the predicament he's got the mighty British Empire into. Just by being patient and infiltrating all the organs of government. Goodness gracious, he's now got people being jailed just for intending to go to a place in London. Only that, and they're very average, ordinary people. I'll put their names up here on screen. There's plenty of videos about them, but it's a very, very stark, provocative move, and really it's a stimulus to stand up for what we have and value what we have, which we currently don't. And it's something like that Big Yellow Taxi song that says, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And the more things are taken away, the more resolute people are going to be. So I'm afraid we're going to lose things the hard way to learn the lesson of how wonderful it was in the old days when you could say anything you like at Speaker's Corner. The third news item is that, I don't know all the details yet, but Tommy Robinson has left Rebel Media, where he was, to some degree, a controlled asset for a certain ethnic group that we don't need to name, because we all know, don't we? And he's left them. I don't know who's financing him now, but he's got a very ambitious project. He wants to visit every enclave in Europe and basically provoke them into doing something in front of cameras, you see. Now, the first time he's done this, nobody's ready for him, so he goes in there and he comes out on top, basically by accident. What happened was a 6'6" African announced he was going to kill him, and then bent down to reach him because he was so short and exposed his head, and Tommy Robinson hit him with a right hook to the side of the face and put the man down. Now, he also, none of the other people attacking him were all youths. None of them had the courage to come to grips with him, because they're all terrified about running away to make sure they made a clean getaway, you see. But they only had a few minutes' notice. But I would counsel Tommy Robinson against doing this for a couple of reasons. That he's not going to be that lucky every time. That by watching all the videos, it's going to be educating a lot of people about how to get him next time wherever he turns up. There'll be little gang meetings about, if you see this man, call these numbers straight away, text me on this, that sort of thing. And I'll tell you, we've had multiculturalism in Australia, and I would say it's going to end tragically. He won't get to visit too many of these strongholds, because I've actually had good friends of mine stabbed from front and back simultaneously by Middle Eastern youths. The argument was about a lunchbox in a restaurant. Are you allowed to go into a restaurant, open up a lunchbox, start eating your lunch out of the lunchbox in a normal high-class restaurant? Well, because the man was asked to leave, he came back with a friend and stabbed two of my very good friends front and back simultaneously, right? So that's a cultural enrichment that we have in Australia, and I would suspect something like that is going to be waiting for him if he keeps producing a couple of videos every few days of going into strongholds. The other thing I would say is there seems to be only one Tommy Robinson. I don't know why there aren't hundreds of them. I wish there were. I think we may need to generate hundreds of them, and you might think social media and all that would make it easy, but I don't think you even need that. Let me tell you a story about another mass movement which made great inroads and was very difficult to stop. Falun Gong in China. The Chinese Communist Party was greatly pissed by the fact that even Communist Party officials were greatly impressed by Falun Gong, which is basically prayer, meditation, self-attunement. And what happened was, it was so dispersed, so decentralised, that they never had meetings, they never had a membership listing, so the government had a devilish job tracking them down at all. Because people used to read books to each other on park benches in gardens, stuff like that. This is in China, you see. And it got so bad, it was being talked about quite openly. Communist Party officials openly talking about hands-on healing, meditation, feeling someone's body field, seeing their auras and all that sort of stuff. Typical human spirituality pursuits, right? The Communist Party cracked down on them, and quite a few of these Falun Gong people ended up in prison with their organs removed. And since there's been a change of leadership, the Communist Party has gone soft on them again and now said, okay, well, we'll sort of let you do Falun Gong because it's only prayer and meditation as long as you remain a good communist, and we'll stop ripping out your organs. Would anyone be game to take them at their word? I don't know. But the Communist Party had a hell of a job finding them. And they did have a connection to the American CIA. As usual, who doesn't? Yeah. So, but that gives you a clue. You can get a camera, you can do what you want to show to people, what's going on, what people are doing. You don't have to be an international superstar. But YouTube is not the place to put it, and there's no useful replacement yet for YouTube in all the ones I've looked at so far. BitChute, DTube is hopeless. There's other ones, I've got to try them. But there's a market for a reliable, simple uploading media type thing that uses peer-to-peer. I think BitChute comes close to that, but you can't do comments, you don't get notifications and that sort of stuff. It's still a very bare bones thing. Now, why do I think Tommy Robinson isn't going to last long doing this? Because they'll be waiting for him. And I tell you now, I do not think the enemy is in the streets of Europe. I think the enemy is the self-chosen elite. That's why I'm saying that really you've got to start making journalists afraid of the white backlash when they start praising Islam being the religion of peace, etc., and doing all their reverse logic articles about tolerance and all that, and why can't you tolerate female genital mutilation and stuff like that. Those journalists have got to regret, bitterly regret, penning such articles. And where do they get their teaching from? University professors, and all the way up through the elite, order of power, right up to the President of the EU and all the unelected commissioners that get paid 4 times the salary of the British Prime Minister. They don't normally take casualties, and they need to start taking casualties. Now, they can be stalked, so they get to the point where they're scared to come out in daylight, and that has to be done. Very hard to hide these days and never be seen in daylight outside a secure building. Very hard to do indeed, and I'm afraid we may have to get serious in order to save 1 billion people from basically genocide at the hands of a few thousand elites. And that's all I got for today, folks. See you next time.